my relationship with money now is one where I'm not stressed about it. I do not limit myself in any capacity because of money, but I still respect money. And so what's really important to understand and know is that you might spend freely. And so then you think, oh, well, I have a good relationship with money because I always allow myself to buy everything. But are you respecting your money? Because maybe you're actually overspending, right? Maybe you actually have an addiction to spending money because you don't feel safe holding money. Now, even if you have a great relationship with money and you've already done a pile of work on your relationship with money, amazing. This episode then will be a great check, right? It's kind of like you're just checking internally and you can use it for where you're at now with money and where you want to go. So everything that I'm sharing, I still use to this day when I'm wanting to break a ceiling with money and attract more in and hold my next level of wealth. So first thing, when you think about money, how do you feel? Just as you're thinking about money right now, how do you feel? Now, when you make money and it comes into your account, what do you think, feel, and or do? And then my last question for you is how do you feel about other people that have more money than you? I like to ask myself these questions whenever I'm wanting to break through my next glass ceiling. Because no matter whether you've done a bunch of healing work around money, no matter whether you have a good relationship with money already, when you're wanting to get to a next level, it requires a different version of yourself. It requires you to relate to money in actually a new way. So it's really nice to come back to some of those basic things in terms of your current relationship with money, in terms of the amount of money that you currently have, to then break through to the next level of wealth and through that glass ceiling to then call in more money. So your decisions are everything. You can literally change your energy in this moment by simply changing your decision. And when I say this, I mean like internally in your mind, what have you decided to think about money? What have you decided to believe today? How have you decided to show up? What can you decide right now to start to feel about money? Just right now, what can you decide? Like, I am going to decide that money comes into me so fucking easily, no matter what I'm doing, no matter how I'm feeling. So, for example, I decided for myself a long time ago that I didn't have to feel high vibe in order for money to come in. And you know what I fucking love when this happens is like, I was so angry about something. And in my like burst of anger, I literally had a payment come through. Like my Stripe popped up on my phone and it was a payment. And I'm like, whenever that happens, I'm like, lol, that decision clearly fucking worked. I anchored that into my energy. I decided this is how money works for me. I decided this is how this energy is going to relate to me. And therefore it happens. So what can you decide to start to feel about money? How can you decide to start to think and engage about money? I kind of said this before, but worthiness is also very wrapped up with money and how we allow ourselves or don't allow ourselves to spend it. So if you are not feeling worthy to have money, to hold money, to be wealthy, to make money, to get a pay rise, blah, 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 then why would you have it? If you don't feel worthy of wearing nice clothes, of going on holidays, of, feeling supported, of being able to pay for extra help, if you do not feel deserving of those things, but that's what you want to spend your money on, you're not going to attract it in. So knowing what you want to spend your money on can help attract money in because it has a purpose and money likes that. So knowing what you want to spend your money on is important. But then the key thing is like, do you feel deserving of spending your money on that? Do you feel worthy of that being the reason why you want more money? A couple of things to look at are in regards to the worthiness and just kind of more of that trauma side of money, because a lot of people might talk about money mindset, but money trauma is a whole different game, right? Money trauma is trauma, obviously, around money, and mindset work around money isn't going to cut it because the trauma isn't actually about the money itself. The trauma is about you feeling unsafe in a situation and money was involved in that situation. And you basically made a decision for yourself in that moment that, I never want to have money because if I have money, XYZ is going to happen to me. So you might feel unsafe holding money, or unsafe having more money, or unsafe receiving money, or maybe you're anxiously holding on to it because you're afraid of it disappearing, or you're afraid of someone else taking it, and therefore you just stop attracting it in because you don't want the money. Because if you have money, people will take it. Maybe you are afraid, you have a fear of what people will think if you have more money. You're worried about them judging you or rejecting you, etc. Or you just think money is greedy for whatever reasons. So in regards to the unsafe holding this is a really under talked about that was really good English, Monica. This is not talked about a lot, is the safety of actually holding money or having more of it. If you grew up in an environment where money was used for really bad things, let's say, for example, you grew up in an environment where money was used to buy alcohol and drugs, do you think that that provided safety around having money? No. So you could be feeling unsafe holding money because if you hold money, bad things will happen. If you have money, bad things will happen. If you receive money or if you have too much, bad things will happen. If you have more than what you need, that could be used against you. There are so many different reasons as to why your body could feel unsafe in having more money. If money was something that was fought about a lot, you could have a very anxious attachment with money because you always felt super anxious and stressed when your parents were fighting about money. You might bring up really negative money trauma into your relationship, not because you're trying to cause a problem, but you're actually trying to keep the two of you in love. And you grew up in an environment where you saw money make your parents hate each other. So you're like, I don't want money because money causes people to hate each other. So you literally could be blocking yourself somatically from having more money, but consciously you're like, but Monica, I want more money. Like, you're listening to this podcast, you want more money coming in. You would like greater levels of wealth. But the reason why you're not attracting it in isn't necessarily because you consciously don't want it. But I'm telling you right now, there's probably a reason unconsciously, viscerally, somatically in your body why you don't want it. So, why do you not want money? That's actually a really powerful question to ask yourself. Why do you not want to attract more money in? And just think about, how else does this relationship that you have with money show up in your life? So let's say, for example, going back to unsafe holding it. If the example is, I feel really unsafe holding money, this could be showing up as chronic overspending or like being a bit of a shopaholic, right? Whenever you get a paycheck that comes in, that day you're paying your bills, you're going out shopping, you always have something that you need to spend your money on, basically. And you might be like, I'm not even buying new shoes. It just is that the money comes in and all of a sudden my bank account is back where it was before. Like, I don't understand. I'm never able to hold more money. I'm never able to have more money. It's because you don't want to for some reason. There is a reason why you actually don't want your bank account to grow. You might feel unsafe in receiving money because if you are receiving it, if you are receiving attention, bad things happen. That could be a result of you having bad things happen when you were younger from being seen. So if you don't want to be seen for whatever reason, that can then cause you to limit your flow of abundance coming in and wealth coming in because you don't feel safe feel safe receiving that money and like being seen as a more abundant, wealthy version of yourself. You don't have to tell people how much money you have, but of course, you know, and that can make you feel exposed. And you don't want to feel exposed. Just remember that everything is neutral. You're the one adding the meaning. So we make up the story. Money is actually a very neutral energy and you're adding the meaning to it. So instead of just thinking positively, can you actually declare to yourself how you are going to show up as the version of yourself that has tons of money in the bank? How does she make decisions, or how does he make decisions? How does he move through his day? When we let money control us, we are constantly draining our energy. These negative thoughts and stories in our head are literally taking up so much space. And I'm telling you right now, they are not living rent free. So thinking about how you're behaving with money now. What are you afraid of? What are you worried, concerned, and fearful of in regards to having more money. Now, thinking of each of them, can you challenge them? If that fear actually came true, could you survive? Could you bounce back and be okay? Most likely, yes. So get over the worrying and start changing your story, your actions, and getting wealthy. And not just getting wealthy in money, but in love and sex and health, because all of those things correlate to your relationship with money. So start changing the way that you talk to yourself and think. Like I spoke about in a recent podcast episode, can you dom yourself into what you know you want to do rather than always being submissive to your thoughts? Can you be so committed to what you want that even when fear creeps in, you will trust your intuition, even when it doesn't make logical sense?